Squeeze in here.
Sabotage.
Ah, I've got quite a lot of correspondence on that.
Okay, so Sabotage.
Arnie.
It is Arnie. I'll be back. And here he is.
He certainly is.
So this is directed by David Ayer. And you'll remember that when David Ayer made End of Watch, I complained that David Ayer there was a problem between, on the one hand, End of Watch had this terribly ultra-naturalistic, realistic thing, which was that it was all done with, surveillance cameras. So everything was meant to be super real, almost like induced documentary film. But the problem was that the narrative had this terribly melodramatic bent to it. And those two things seem to be sort of fighting against each other. Well, we've got none of that problem in here, because essentially what happens here is that David Ayer decided to solve all the problems by having a massive amount of gunplay and a massive amount of violence, and really, I think the film's a 15 certificate, but really quite extraordinary levels of bloodshed and carnage. Story is, at the beginning of the film, we're introduced to a DEA, nominally undercover DEA team, who are doing a bust on a drug cartel that involves them in the process of the bust, attempting to filch $10 million for themselves. However, somebody somewhere double crosses them, and the $10 million goes missing. They all then get hauled in by the department who say, "What have you done with the $10 million? We think you're under suspicion," and everything falls apart. Everything falls apart, but nobody can pin anything on anyone. Nobody knows what happened to the $10 million. Well, now Arnie is getting the team back together, because he is the head honcho of the team, and he's putting the team back together to do something about it. Here's a clip.
So what happened? We used to be good at this.
Yeah, well, 6 months of finger pointing and recrimination happened. You weren't around, you didn't have our backs.
Well, not by choice.
When did you ever listen to the rules? We're not a team anymore. Just a gang. And there is no trust. There is no trust.
We're gonna get it back. I know. We're still a family.
Yeah, I wish I could believe you.
So they're a family. Well, okay, so let's begin with the problem. Firstly, all of the team, who are the family, who are going to get back together again, have got names. They're all referred to by their nicknames, and the nicknames are literally like Monster, Grinder, Smoke, Neck. They are the militarized Spice Girls. And they then have to go off on all these adventures that basically involve massive amounts of kicking doors down and firing huge pump-action shotguns and blowing things up and, nailing people to walls and sticking people... I mean, literally just insane amounts of carnage. But apparently spiced up by this idea that, these are real people, these are real characters. They've got, they're conflicted. They're not conflicted. They are literally about as two-dimensional as the Brady Bunch. Secondly, the violence is just nuts, because it doesn't forward the story. It is just weirdly kind of, nothing else is happening, let's be incredibly gory. Olivia Williams is in there doing the strangest sort of wrestling with this hard-boiled dialogue that basically reduces everybody to the level of absurdist caricature. And then in the middle of it all is Arnie. Now, whereas, for example, Sylvester Stallone always had acting chops. I mean, I know it's very easy, to make that joke about Sylvester Stallone, but the fact of the matter is he started out, he was a writer, he was somebody who did, he could act. He wasn't always the best actor in the world, but he was an actor. And then when he did things like Copland, you thought, well, he has depth, he has range. Arnie appears to have got worse with age rather than better, and to the point that in this, there's a big thing at the beginning, and he's watching this horrible thing on a video, and this is the thing that he's tormented by, and he's got a shot glass of whiskey, and this is sort of setting him up as a tortured character. And you just think that look on your face could be anything. It could be anger, it could be joy, it could be fear, it could be laughter, it could be terror. I have no idea what it is. Plus, the delivery of every single line appears to be. You remember when he was doing Terminator? And the whole gag was that Terminator talks like a robot. And in the first movie, he had something like 9 lines. And in the second one, he had more than that because But believe me, every line in Terminator is delivered better. So he's terrible. The plot is preposterous. The violence is ridiculous. The character names are caricatured. The whole tone of it is like being, with the exception perhaps of Mireille Enos, who's actually gives us a reason to watch because, she's feisty and she's actually funnier than a lot of them. And occasionally when she's on screen, it's okay, and she is the sole reason to go see the film. But other than that, it's like, really? Really?